Discord watched a Pegasus from his bedroom window as she fed her animals. He had distanced himself, and his presence was not disturbed by the critters. Besides, he did not want her to notice him staring. He was fascinated by how well she was able to tame each and every cute creature, calming them down by nuzzling them, and even a large bear posed a no threat to her. She even allowed it to lick her mane. How did she do that? How could she be so kind in this fierceless creatures and being enchanted by her? Ironically enough, that was exactly what he thought of her. Enchanting. He shook his head. What is happening to me? His reflection responding. You're turning into sap, and you're all for that wimpy Pegasus. Hey! Discord shouted, glaring at her mirror. Don't even talk about her that way. See? You even stopped so low as defending her honor. You've fallen at your own act. I have not. I just... He twiddled his fingers. Happened to find my fiancé slightly attractive. What's wrong with that? What's wrong? You've never found any pony attractive in your life. Even if you were to start, why would it be this pony? I mean, look at her. Discord glanced back at the window. Yeah, so? She's just so flawless. And there's nothing ounce of discord in her. She's just so, the Draconica slightly dreamily perfect. Ah, exactly. She's too perfect. You have to change her. Turn into her green or something. You're right, she's too perfect. Maybe that's what makes her so interesting. Ugh. His reflection growled. Listen to yourself. Where is your pride? Oh, shut up. He waved his hand and draped the blanket over the mirror and then turned his attention back to Fluttershy. He had to get closer, not wanting to frighten her, so he perched on a tree branch just a few feet away, scaring the birds in the process. His grin widened, and she was certainly more interesting up close. Hold still, Angel Bunny. She held her sweet voice and huffed the rabbit's tail. There, all done. The rabbit leaped into her hooves and cuddled her. Discord's heart fluttered as he heard her giggle for the first time. Yes, I miss you too. Angel then pulled away and yapped something made Fluttershy frown. Oh, you see, I made a deal with him, and we're getting married. As the other animals heard this, they made frantic noises, and she did try to calm him down. Yes, I know he doesn't appear very friendly. But Discord was starting to regret bringing those animals. But he's not as bad as you may think. This made his eyes widen. Could it be the possible pony that did not hate him at all? Could it be that he was finally getting to her? The animals screamed in the process. No, not really, Fluttershy assured them. He really hasn't done anything to me yet. Though I will admit, he does scare me even a bit, but he did bring you all here, and that makes me happy. Then he started singing to the birds, who sang in the process. Discord closed his eyes and listened to that sweet melodic voice of hers. He had never heard the sound of so beautiful, so perfect, much like the pony where he came from. He would have just listened to it all day, had the branch had not given away beneath him. He let out a cry as he hit the ground, frightening the animals and causing them to scatter. Fluttershy shrieked and spun around. Her terror faded once she saw the Draconiquest estate. Goodness, are you hurt? She asked, flying over to him. He flinched slightly as she touched his paw. Oh, don't worry about me, he said, getting up. I'm fine. Oh, Fluttershy glanced up at the broken branch. Were you spying on me? No, I was, well, yes, he grinned sheepishly. You see, I didn't want to disturb you, and I'm sorry I scared the animals off. She sighed. Well, as long as you're here, care to help me free the animals? There's so many of them, you see, and it's getting late. She pointed at the sky turning orange and pink from the sunset. Sure, I can take care of that, he exclaimed, snapping his fingers. Done. How about this for dinner? Fluttershy's stomach growled at the mention of food. Come to think of it, I haven't ate much today. Well, another snap of his fingers and a picnic blanket both appeared beneath them. Along with a bottle of champagne bottle pouring into glasses, Discord offered her a glass, which she cringed slightly. Oh, no thank you, I don't drink. I knew that, he said monically. Well, it's white grape soda. Still suspicious, she accepted the glass and took a sip. He had told the truth. So I take it you're enjoying the garden? He inquired. Oh yes, Fluttershy said with a smile. Thank you again, but... She looked up. Some of the birds were flying, but something stopped them when they got too high. Well, that's because it's an invisible force field. Nothing personal, but I could not risk you escaping or some pony coming to rescue. Nothing goes in or out with my allowance. She stared at him with distress. So the animals are trapped here, like me? Seeing her smile disappear, Discord realized that he had made a mistake and had to correct it. He gently lifted her chin. Cheer up, my dear. They're all here with you. Isn't that all that matters? I suppose, she replied, not smiling. He had to get that smile to come back, so he snapped his fingers and made the frosted carrot cake appear. Fluttershy's mouth dropped wide open. How did you? I told you, he stated simply. I had nothing to do for 3 years but to spy on ponies, and it was natural that I made out a few things. He summoned a knife and cut her a slice of cake and placed it onto a small plate. What about dinner? She asked. I'm sure we could break the rules a teensy bit, he smirked. As she took the plate and fork materialized in her hoof, which she took a bite, Discord grinned and her smile returned. This is the best carrot cake I have ever tasted, she declared. Only the best for my favorite pony, Discord said, taking a slice for himself. Fluttershy blushed out, but then looked at him seriously. Why were you spying on me? Anyway, I just want to know. I mean, I wasn't spying, I was observing. After all, you were an interesting subject to watch. She just said nothing and stared down at her hooves, her face turning red. I wasn't lying. You know when I said you were beautiful? She looked away. Thank you, but I'm not that attractive. Oh, don't be so modest, my dear. He tilted his head towards her. You are a natural beauty, and that's saying a lot. Coming from me, usually when I see something beautiful, I turn into a lollipop. But seriously, I would expect some pony like you to be such a compliment. Fluttershy then moved from his claw and looked at the grass. Not really, I mean, I was a model for a short while. His eyes widened. Really? I mean, you sure do have the looks, but I did not think you were the type to go out on stage and show yourself off. I wasn't. That's why I quit. I couldn't handle all the attention. I had less time for my friends. Oh, I see. See what? She turned back, seeing how mischievous, disconcerting his look on his face. Discord, what are you? She squealed and he attacked her with a hug, and she kicked her legs frantically. Discord, let me go! What's the matter? He taunted. Can't handle a little attention I'm giving you? No, She trailed off, but ran his claws across her back. She started giggling. That tickles. Stop that. How does it now? Interesting. Seems to happen when I do this. He moved away from her and began tickling her belly. She burst out laughing. Discord! Please stop! You sure? Because you seem to enjoy it. This was the first time hearing her laugh. It was so captivating. Please, I have to finish the cake. All right. Discord sighed and then released her, only to have her tackle him over. Hey, what are you doing? She was using her feathers to tickle him in return. However, she did not have the advantage of size. He snatched her up before he could get the real torture. Nice try, you devious little thing, he exclaimed. This be a warning. I am the tickle torture here, and no pony else. Fluttershy giggled. I understand. He gently sat her down. You know, you should laugh more often. Laughter becomes you as well. She blushed and then realized that the first time that she had laughed in years. After they had finished eating, Fluttershy was getting tired and she had unable to sleep with everything going on, so she decided to retire early. When she entered the room, she looked at the mirror and the vanity, examined her face and hair. No pony had ever called her beautiful before, and it felt good. It was crawling to her bed and realized that Discord had forgotten to ask his question that night. Well, thanks for walking me home, Spike, Applejack said when they reached the edge of the farm. And thanks again for helping me with those critters, even though it didn't turn out well, but it was still mighty big of you. Anything for you, AJ, the dragon said with a smile. The pony watched from his side as he trudged down the road, and then the feeling was on again, and it was not healthy. After all, there was at least a 7-year gap between them, not to mention a difference of species, and also the fella had his eyes on for another. It was then that Applejack veered her path towards the Everfree Forest. As usual, Socorro was hospitality and offered her tea. Did I tell you why I here? The Shover Pony said, but I'm guessing you already know. You want to relieve that hush on your confusing crush, the zebra grinned. She hid her face behind her back in the hat of embarrassment, Socorro putting a reassuring hoof on her shoulder. I do not need for tea to be that age. The species are in love by that way, and don't let your emotions appear to stay. Applejack lifted the brim of her hat slightly. What am I to do, Socorro? The dragon is young, so wait until he gets to mature state. Whether will go away, only time could tell. She sighed and then sunk her head back into the table. He's my friend, and he's always willing to help. I'd be lying if I said he wasn't adorable. I just feel different when when I'm around him. Silly, huh? A pony and a dragon? Yes, there is a Pegasus engaged to a Draconequest. Yes, I've been wondering about that too. Is Fluttershy okay? I mean, you live so close to Discord now. You know anything? Sakura glanced down and then leaned over and Gist whispered. But you can assure me that the Draconequest is not all that he appears to be. Applejack was about to say something when Rainbow Dash bolted for the door without knocking. Sakura, I need your advice. Oh, Applejack, I did not know you were here. I'll come back later. Nonsense, the Silver Pony exclaimed. Whatever you got to tell Sakura, you can tell me. Rainbow Dash took a deep breath. Soren asked me out. Applejack's eyes widened. You mean that stallion in the Wonderbolts? Yeah, him. It turns out he has a crush on me ever since I saved his pie. What should I do? He likes apple pies. I'd say he's a keeper. Sakura laughed. Well, strike from me above. It seems like every pony has issues with love. Rainbow Dash scrunched her nose. Say what now? Fluttershy woke up with a scream. Discord was at her bedside in a second. His face lit up with concern. What is it? What's wrong? She sighed in relief. Nothing. It was just a bad dream. Oh? Discord blushed in embarrassment. Apologies. I just thought that I was in danger, she finished. She had to admit that it was awfully sweet of him. Yes, but you're not. I see. So I'll just be going. Wait, could you, stay for a bit? He stared at her and then clapped his hands, turning the lights on, and sat at the edge of the bed. So this nightmare, he said, what was it about? Fluttershy was about to tell him, but when she remembered that who she was talking to and hid her face from under the covers. Discord was confused by this reaction, and then recalled something and frowned. Was it about me? She peered out of him. How did you mentioned it to your friends. She then hid her face again. I'm really, really sorry. Tell me. What? Tell me about it. She was hesitant at first, but the beans had to be split out, and she told him about him every night, and that he would hold her, chuckle darkly, whisper horrible things in her ear, and would sometimes turn her into discomfort self again, and it stung him. Is that how you see me? He asked, with hurt in his eyes. He started to rise. Maybe I shouldn't be here. No, she begged. Please, I don't know why I keep dreaming it. He gritted his teeth. Well, I am a monster. Discord was about to snap his fingers when she touched his paw. Discord, please don't go. I don't want to be alone. She turned to her coldly. Well, I think every cause of your fear is the last creature that you want to keep company. But you're not the creature from my dreams. It may look like you, but it's not the real you. I prefer you any day. When she gazed up over those pleading eyes, his coldness dissolved. He could not leave her in this state. All right, he said with a sigh. I'll stay with you until you fall asleep. She then smiled in a thanks. I'm not really sure if I can go to sleep now. How about I help you? Sure, but what? With a snap of his fingers, they eventually found themselves sitting on top of a cloud above the castle. Why are we up here? She asked. It's clear night, Discord said, lounging onto his back. I thought we could have a look at the stars. She glanced up at the sky and nodded in agreement, and she fell back beside him. They're beautiful, she marveled. Yes, they are. You are, Discord muttered, raising an eyebrow at him. I mean, the stars. Like you said, beautiful. Fluttershy giggled and turned her attention back to the sky. The Draconequest was more interested in her than the stars. You know, Twilight could name all the stars, planets, and constellations, she said. Every single one of them. Her smile was then waved at the thought of her friend. Discord saw this and knew how to distract her. The stars are rather boring when they just stuck in the sky like that, aren't they? He waved his paw and Fluttershy gasped as the stars moved closer to the shape of a butterfly. Discord, you promised? What? I said that I would confine my magic into my territory, and this part of the sky is my territory. But it's not, Princess Luna. Oh, Lulu will appreciate me putting some excitement that night. You'll have to admit that this is impressive. Fluttershy watched as the astral butterfly flapped his wings against the night sky and floated in the circles. Well, it's kind of neat. Discord laughed triumphantly as a smile returned to his face. See? My chaos can be useful. How isn't rearranging the stars useful? He grinned and made writing motions with his claw, using the stars to spell out the message. Fluttershy's eyes grew at the size of frying pans as she read it. Do you love me? Check yes or no. Underneath it, he drew 2 boxes with a mark yes or no. Then she turned to him and then had an excited look on her face. He handed her his glowing claw and still pointed towards the sky. She glanced in between them, and at the message, she finally took the claw and drew a check in the second box. Discord frowned and erased the message, hopefully before any pony could see it. Fluttershy then looked at him apologetically. I'm really sorry, but I just don't feel that way about you yet. No, it's okay, he said quickly. But it's not okay. She had rejected him before, but for some reason, it hurts this time. It was almost as if he wanted her to say yes. He stiffened at something and nuzzled against him. He glanced down to see the Pegasus curling up to him. But I'm willing to accept you as a friend, she said softly, as if it was a string being pulled inside his heart. Friend? Why, of course. I think it's only fair. He did not know what to say. Oh well, I never had really a friend before. Never? What do you think? She nuzzled him closer. Well, now you know that, you do, and I'm sorry. He blinked. For what? I was wrong about you. You're not a monster. She closed his eyes and snuggled up near his fur. Discord stared at her in awe, not believing what any such pony could exist. Not only that she was beautiful beyond relief, but she was the kind enough to even care for him. Even if she had not gotten him anything what he expected, the idea of having a friend made his heart explode. Who knew I could even have a heart? He stuck out his claw and unsurely began to stroke her mane. Fluttershy opened her eyes and looked up at him, and he retracted his claw, not sure why he suddenly was so hesitant. Sorry, do you mind? She stared at him for a moment, and then smiled. No, it's okay. She then flipped onto her belly and closed her eyes. Go ahead, as long as you don't tickle me again. He chuckled at that thought, and he sat up, leaning on his arm. Don't worry, my dear. I'll be gentle. Not wasting a second of the opportunity, he placed his paw on top of her head and slowly ran his fingers through her mane. And he sighed internally at the softness of her hair, and once Fluttershy was once again surprised by his touch, she opened his eyes and extended his strokes down to her tail, but then relaxed when shut them again. His touch could always be so smoothing that it lulled her to sleep. When Discord noticed this, he was not sure what to do. He had no idea that he did not want to wake her, or fearing of her ruining their peaceful state that she was in. He could always teleport her to bed, but he would not want to leave her. Even in sleep, she was fascinating, and he could even watch her forever, like laying so still with her body rising, ever so slightly as she breathed. He would not even dare move her or leave her, so he curled up with his body around her like a dragon guarding his treasure, and he continued to stare at her face, so it would be the last thing that he would do before trailing off to sleep himself.